Minasan, konnichiwa, Zamurai Engineer desu. In this video, let us continue the module 4 of chapter 6, cost volume profit relationship, or what we call CVP. Our learning goal for this module is to be able to show the effects on contribution margin of changes in variable cost, fixed cost, selling price, and volume. The variable expense ratio. The variable expense ratio is the ratio of variable expenses to sales. It can be computed by dividing total variable expenses by total sales, or in a single product analysis, it can be computed by dividing the variable expenses per unit by the unit selling price. So, as you can see, variable expenses here are written in total as 150,000 per unit, that is 300, and as a ratio of contribution margin, that is 40%. Contribution margin ratio, our denominator is not the contribution margin, but the sales, total sales is our, or the per unit sales, that is our divisor or divisor. Okay. Changes in fixed cost in sales volume. What is the profit impact if RBC, this is the company, can increase unit sales from 500 to 540 by increasing the monthly advertising budget by $10,000. We are able to sell 40 units more to bring up this total sales to 540 units by increasing the monthly advertising budget by $10,000. We need to know. This is now planning. Okay? Is our advertising worthwhile? So changes in fixed cost in sales volume. 80,000 is our fixed plus 10,000 advertising. The total is 90. So again, advertising is also included in the fixed because that is a fixed contract. Okay, so if we are able to play with the numbers, we would like to know if advertising is effective, is a good choice or a good decision. So 540 units would be equal to 270,000. But the variable expenses will also increase proportionately. So the total variable expenses would be 162,000. If you subtract it from the total sales of 270,000, the answer would be 108. And since we already have fixed expenses of 90, subtract this 90,000 to 108, the answer is $18,000. So if you compare the 500 units and 540 units, using advertising amounting to $10,000 is not justified. Sales increased by 20,000, but net operating income decreased by 2,000 because our income is already 20,000 and we increased our sales, but the net income dipped from 20,000 to 18,000, and that is decreased by 2,000. That is Therefore, not a good decision, okay, to use advertising at this point. Okay. Changes in fixed cost and sales volume. A shortcut solution using incremental analysis. Okay. Increase in contribution margin, 40 units, that is the increase, times amount per unit, that is 40 times 200, that is 8,000. Then increase in advertising expense, 10,000. Therefore, decrease in operating income. We have a decrease in our income amounting to 2,000 because the expense is greater than the sales. Okay, so this type of analysis, this format, please take note of this format. You need to write contribution margin. How much is the increase in number of units sold times the selling price, and that is 8,000. Selling price times the number of unit increase, that is not the total number of sold out quantity, but the increase in number of unit sold, and subtract the additional expenditure, that is advertising. Our incremental analysis is a shortcut method of analyzing what happened. Change in variable cost and sales volume. What is a profit impact if RBC can use higher quality raw materials, thus increasing variable cost per unit by $10 to generate an increase in unit sales from 500 to 800. So we use quality materials and we are able to increase our sales to 580. Is that enough? Is that increase in sales quantity enough? Reason to choose a high quality raw material. So this is a decision making problem. We have to decide. Now let us compare if we are able to sell 580 units and the reference is 500 units. Those 500 units is our usual or the common or the average selling quantity. Now, what if we sold out 580 units? The total sales, therefore, is 580 times selling price, and that is equal to 290,000. And our variable expense, how much per unit times the total units, that is 179,800. And if you subtract it from the total sales of 290,000, the answer is 110,200. Okay, and our fixed expense is 80,000. Therefore, if you subtract it from the contribution margin, the answer is 30,200. And therefore, we have what? And net operating income increase. We have an increase in operating income. We have an increase in profit. With what? How much? How much increase? 10,200. Okay. Change in fixed cost, sales price, and volume. What is the profit impact if RBC or the company, number one, cut selling price $20 per unit? So we want to sell our products with $20 discount each. Number 2, increases its advertising budget by 15,000 per month rather than 10,000. And number 3, increase sales from 500 to 650 units per month. So you can easily do this with that format from previous slide, using that format. Okay. Okay. So since now we are looking at sales volume of 650 units times the selling price. Selling price is less than $20. We had to decrease the selling price. So that selling price times 650, 312,000. Variable expenses. Again, variable amount per unit times 650 units. The answer is $195,000. So subtract it from the total sales of 312. So 312 again, 312,000 is the number of units times selling price. Selling price is 480 because we have a discount of $20. So instead of 500, we use 480. That's why it became $312,000. So therefore, the contribution margin is just 117,000. And our fixed expense. What about fixed expense? You will notice fixed expense is 95,000. It is not the same with 80,000. Why? Why we have 95,000 when we are looking at fixed? Therefore, this is not a fixed expense because it increased. That is because 80,000 is fixed plus the advertising of 15,000. We paid the advertiser for 15,000. Okay, so therefore we have to subtract 95, and the answer is 22,000. And as you can see, there's an increase in the income by 2,000. Okay. Let us take a look what happened. So again, let us share our slide. Sorry for the technical error. So let us continue. So we have what? Change in variable cost, fixed cost in sales volume. What is a profit impact if RBC pays a $15 sales commission? Okay. What will happen we pay commission to an agent per byte sold instead of paying salesperson flat salaries. Okay, so is it better for us to pay commission rather than monthly salaries that currently total 6,000 per month? And number two, increases unit sales from 500 to 575 bikes. So we have to what? Consider these effects. There are two effects. Number one, paying commission rather than monthly salary. And number two, increasing sales from 500 to 575. Okay, let's go. So let us consider. We already know and familiar with 500 units column. Now let us look to the 575 units column, wherein the total variable expenses would be 575 units times 350 is equal to 181,125. Okay, so sales increased by 37,500. Fixed increases expenses decreased by our fixed expenses decreased because we did not pay a monthly salary. Monthly salary is fixed. So because we did not pay a monthly salary, but instead we have to pay the commission. How much per unit? That is 15. How much is the commission? How much is the commission that we have to pay? 15. Right, that is correct. Paying $15 per byte. So 15 times what? Times 575. Okay. That is the additional. That is the additional variable expense. But if you add the total variable expense per unit, that is 315. Okay, so let us use that, and therefore our net operating income increased still by 12,000. So our salary of 6,000 per month dollar is too high. Okay, we can what? We can just pay a commission per bike sold. Okay, how many sales person do we have? Okay. Okay, you can backtrack. What happened on our previous situation. Just take a look at this different example. Okay. For 500 units, we have what? We have 150,000 variable expense. That is variable cost. So that is our point of contention here. Okay, so let us be reminded one by one. Okay, so again, our total sales here is the selling price times 575. So our sales increased by what? 37,500 because our usual selling volume is 500 for $250,000. So we increase our sales. Now, variable expense. So 150 units. And we have variable expense total of $150,000. So if 150 divided by 500 units, that is what? 1,500 divided by 5, that is 300. So our variable expense is 300 per unit. So therefore, if we pay $15 as a commission, our variable expense will increase to 315 because 300 is the normal or the average, and we are paying now by 15. So 300 plus 15 is now 315. That's why we have the 315 there. And 575 units is the total volume sales times 315, which is the variable expense per unit. So therefore, our result would be $181,125. That is variable. And therefore, our variable increased because commission is variable. But our fixed expense is decreasing because salary is fixed. So that's why, as you can see, 80,000 fixed expense normally would become what? 74,000 because we are what? Paying a salary of 6,000 for a salesperson. But doing these things, we still have a net income of 32,375. That is our profit. And our profit, if you compare to 20,000, it increased by 12,375. Okay, still a good decision to make. What about change in regular sales price? If the company has an opportunity to sell 150 bikes to a wholesaler without disturbing sales to other customers or fixed expenses, what price would it quote to the wholesaler if it wants to increase monthly profits by $3,000 without disturbing sales to other customers, meaning $500. That's our average volume sales. Our sales volume is 500 units with additional of 150 wholesaler. How much would be our? So I think additional. So there is no variable increase because what? You do not pay the commission because this is directly to the company, direct, because it is wholesale. So we need what? 3,000. So 3,000 divided by 150. That is 20. No? We need to have an income of 20. Okay. Okay, so change and regular sales price, 3,000 divided by 155. So that's what I said. That's what is my explanation. $20 per bike, because that is 3,000 divided by 155. Okay, so for 150 bikes, we need to have an additional income of 3,000. That's why we have to divide. So per bike, we need $20 income. Variable cost per bike, 300 per bike. So 300 plus 20, that is selling price required. Our selling price requirement would be 320 per bike. Okay, this is now our last slide for the module. Thank you for listening. Again, this is Dr. DrEYPEI, preaching engineering for nation building.